I'd like to thank y'all for inviting me to speak here. It's an honor to speak before y'all and participate in this great mentoring program. I think I'll just probably give you some background as to how I ended up being an attorney, and that kind of will lead into my commitment to diversity. I grew up in Houston, Texas. My parents immigrated here, and for whatever reason, I think because my parents were immigrants, they always felt like we could be sent back to China at any second. So they would always tell me that I needed to learn Chinese because, we could be sent back and they don't speak English in China. So that terrified me. This was the home I knew. And so I think growing up with that mentality, I realized that I really wanted to know my rights and figure out how not to get sent back is how it started. But that's how I ended up in law, wanting to learn what my rights were in this country. And as I got involved in the legal community, I realized that a lot of people in the Asian American community, especially newer immigrants, really don't know their rights. And so I set out to try to educate people. And so when I first became a lawyer in Atlanta, almost 10 years ago, I co-founded the People's Law School for the Asian Community, where we taught basic law classes to people in the community. That class actually kind of went on for a few years and has stopped because there seemed to be a loss of interest. But if y'all ever feel like you think that there's a need for that, I'm more than happy to work on that again. But anyway, I'm also very involved in a lot of bar association activities that participate in educating the Asian American community on their rights, and also representing the Asian American community, and making sure that we are not that we're not the downtrodden people that we once were in this country. In terms of my work, I'm a labor and employment attorney, and I work for AT&T, as you can see. So a lot of people say, I work for the man, but actually, I think being a labor and employment attorney at a corporation helps me make sure that the company treats all of its employees, including its Asian American employees, fairly and lawfully. So I really appreciate the experience that I have as a labor and employment attorney, and I participate in our diversity efforts, which also gives me the ability to make sure that we have representation within the legal department and the company. And I appreciate Norman's efforts in our Asian Affinity Group and all that they do. So I think that summarizes my background a bit, and I'll turn it back to Sachi.
Thank you very much for your opening statements here, and especially to Frank, just for his honesty. Isn't that amazing? That